Welcome to the weekly chart review. It is Saturday, November 19th. We're going to dive into Forex. Just before we get into that, though, just want to quickly show what NASDAQ has been looking like. I'm going to do this on both videos just to kind of show in case some people don't really do the stocks, but they still like to follow the index. So NASDAQ, what I predicted earlier before was from this low right here, it would start just shooting all the way up into the target zone. Now, that was my target for continuation, but if you've watched one of the videos I mentioned a few weeks ago, I was under the impression that, going to a deeper retracement into my target may not happen because of this right here. Okay, this specific reason. So that was the deepest pullback that we had on the way down. And because of that, I drew up a 618 from the current low here. We retested off that area and then kind of sitting in that golden zone right now. So the only glimmer of hope that I have for it to still go higher is that it's still sitting in the golden zone, even though it broke through twice, but climbed near the end of those closing days above the 50%. Okay, that's really it. I mean, as far as the week is concerned, we really just dropped 120 points. So it bounced all the way up, and from here it was about 385 points short of target. So that's still pretty large. It's hard to say, but what I mentioned before is once it hits this zone, I am no longer going to be bullish. I stopped purchasing any stocks and more or less sold off the ones that were in a short-term run. And I'll jump on that in more detail in the index and stock video. All right, so that's kind of what I was expecting here. It's currently sitting in no man's land just because it went sideways. I mean, it did have quite the peak and then it dropped off, but it's been really going sideways for about the week. 120 points lost in a week is really not much of anything, right? The difference is that 120 points as it relates to stocks, there were some big discrepancies as to what happened. Okay, so anyway, we'll jump into that one later on. Let's just see how this week panned out for Forex trades. All right, we'll see what I've marked up. There was a few trade ideas that kind of hit entry but didn't work out, and this was one of them. Okay, so by didn't work out, I mean, bummer, I mean, stop loss was a little short. Like I said, my rule before, if it was a 60 pip stop loss going down, would have been perfect, right? Still in the trade. But I risked this one on 30 pips, right? Thinking that it wouldn't do much of a deeper pullback, but it did. However, going with my second variable on the rules, right, it would only be after an EMA shift. So if the shift happened here, bummer, it is still at a stop loss, right? So like I was saying before, even there's times where you want to get greedy, 60 pips is still the safe number to sit on, right? And look, this would have been very nice, sitting in profit currently at 91 pips. Pardon me. 91 pips in 3 days. Pretty decent. USD has been slightly volatile. But either way, if the stop loss was at 60, currently it'd be at a 1.5 to 1, so stop loss would be at break even. Anyway, so trade is continuing. Let's move on. Nothing exciting there. I'll switch it back to the daily. All right, so here, where I had CAD JPY, this was over a week ago. I think 2 weeks ago I set up this trade, but as you can see, it kind of hit target. Now it's going sideways, right? So there's really not much else to report. This was a very nice snag. Lots of variables that I mentioned before when I was going here, possible to get back up there, but EMA shift, yada yada. So what I mentioned before is if you took the first EMA shift at the end of this candle or this candle, that would have been a stop loss. But whatever, right? I mean, this was a good potential trade. I would say that It would only have worked out if you were tenacious and decided to grab every EMA shift down, right? And unfortunately, at the consolidation, that would have been like 1, 2, 3 times, right? So there would have been 2 stop losses that hit, but on the third one, the profit would have been made 10 to 1, right? So realistically, 8 to 1 if stop loss was hit twice, but you know, it is what it is. Let's move on. CHF JPY, nothing there. Euro AUD, nothing there. Euro CAD, just from a while ago. So yeah, I was heading up to this potential entry zone before, and it's still making its way up there. But as you can see, it kind of went up once, dropped, and then is wicking up. It really doesn't want to go much higher. Like, how many points is it short? 85 until my alert triggers. 85 pips. All right, so I'm going to leave that there. Still, when that triggers, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm taking the sell. I'm just going to be eyeing it more closely. Very likely this one is going to be the EMA shift one. Let's throw on the smart money indicator and see what that looks like. Sure enough, right? So you can see 2 order blocks, and my target is right in between the 2 of them. All right. I have a feeling that the first one is going to be a little bit more valid, seeing as this move is much greater than this one right here. This one's just a big wick on the daily. But if we switch that to the 4-hour, let's see what we get in its stead. Right? Doesn't really look like much. It's only on the daily that it looks like an order block. Personally, I only really pay attention to those if it's on the 4-hour or the 1-hour. On the daily itself, I mean, you know, banks typically make moves that are within minutes, not during the entire day. So I wouldn't even consider this anything. All right, I'm still going to aim for my target there. And like I said before, it's a great indicator, but it is an algorithm and it is a computer after all. There still needs to be some discernment when it comes to looking at these trade ideas, okay? Pardon me. My throat's a little dry. I feel a lot better though, in case you were wondering. Okay, so when we're looking at Euro CHF, I'm expecting it to still go higher, but it kind of dropped off and recovered a little bit. But if we take a look at the scope of this recovery, right, just on the short term, it went just above, wicked off the 786, and now it's sitting in the golden zone. All right, so for it to go higher and hit the target, I don't think that's actually going to happen anymore. Came close to that 50% from its low. I have a feeling that's about it, but I'm still going to leave up my drawings in case I'm wrong this time around. Moving on, nothing of interest there. Yeah, so I was expecting this to drop much lower, right? Even off that order block or the, what do we want to call it? Oh, shoot. The other thing that I teach, the, man, why can't I get the names now? Oh, jeez. Institutional. All right, there we go. So anyway, there's that within the 4-hour here. That's why I set this up, but it just didn't drop down to target. So this is actually what I'm thinking. This might go better on a sell, right? If we look at that, it's just on the golden zone and rejected. So instead of taking a buy and waiting for that to drop, this would look like the better trade idea, right? I would do it just the peak of that candle. If it wicks up higher, then that trade idea is done, just down to this order block. So yeah, about the same sort of target scope, because now I can see it's making lower highs, right, when it does its pullback, and lower lows. So very good potential for it to actually drop down, just strictly based off Fibonacci, right? Let's drop it down to a lower time frame and get a better idea here as to what's going on. All right, so as you can see, it's just done some jaggedy nonsense for a little while, like very deep consolidations. Realistically, I mean, where it's closed off to where it was in the beginning of the week, it's pretty much the same, right? Yeah, it had a lot of volatility, but closing and opening for the week, if we take a look at that, not a huge difference. Well, it looks like it is here actually, because I believe it's Monday to Monday, right? But what was I thinking? Where's this candle right here? Sunday to Friday. I guess that's our trading week, right? But Monday to Monday, I mean, we could also have some volatility Sunday and Monday open. Anyway, so within the trading week, it's really done nothing, but overall, from the 7-day period, it did move up. So I'm still thinking that this is going to be a good idea once the EMA shifts down. Oh, excuse me. Once the EMA shifts down, that could be a very good potential sell. As you can see, even on the 618, it's rejected multiple times. However, no, there's really no however. I mean, even from, let me go a little bit higher there, and just to the right spot, so a little bit lower. So it's perfectly off that 618 multiple times. So this is what we're going to be looking at, the break of structure, right? Right there. So if it goes higher, then it's really no good. I would say if it drops into entry, I'll take a sell, but I'm going to really keep an eye on it to see if it just kind of lingers and starts going up. I'll take a minor loss rather than the entire 60 pips. We'll see how it goes. Euro NZD, nothing really of excitement here. I don't like NZD pairs. I've mentioned that before. They are very painful to take. Euro USD, this has been a beautiful, beautiful trade. Entered my sell zone, came pretty close to the stop loss. However, it did not, and now it's in profit. So now I'm sitting at 111 pips. You know, from Tuesday to now, not too shabby. There's one better trade actually that happened. I'll show you that a little bit later. I didn't even mark it, but I did draw it up. It's this one right there. But anyway, Euro USD, it's exactly where it needs to go, looking really good. And now finally, you know, we had that kind of inversion there, but we finally had an EMA shift on the 4-hour, so looking good. You know, stop loss is at break even, and currently it is, like I said, 110, so it's almost a 2-to-1. You know, not too shabby. GBP AUD, unfortunately, I think this one's kind of a dud. Right? It looks like it's pulling back up. I had a feeling it was going to keep dropping, but as you can see, I mean, it did test with a lower low, but now it's being very stubborn. It doesn't want to keep dropping. So GBP is very strong just over the last few days, right? As you can see, it was dropping, and then Tuesday hit, and then giant wick. Giant wick, so I'm like, oh wow, big rejection. Maybe it's going to keep going lower. Nope, it decided to climb over the last 3 days. So, you know, this one was a very nice trade going into Tuesday, which was 428 pips in profit. Now it's at a measly 172. You know, I mean, bit of a bummer. I would say if I see that kind of rejection and then the next day a candle like this, I probably would have closed it off at 300. You know, still 300 out of a 60 pip stop loss. That's a 5-to-1. Still a very good trade. Currently, it's sitting at what I think 4-to-1. Let's just 164. Barely a 3-to-1. Right. So still decent profit, but you know, a bit of a bummer. I was expecting this to drop harder and faster. Didn't happen. But at the same time, you know, if you trust the analysis at the beginning, let it keep going. I would say from the initial move, and I see this kind of deep pullback, first thing I do is Fibonacci from this peak right here all the way to the low. Where are we sitting at now? Looks like golden zone for reversal. So I could risk it possibly to the 618 right there for it to come up. And if it closes above it, definitely out, you know, minor profit taken. If it rejects, and I've already exited, that's a great opportunity for a re-entry, you know, with the same parameters. All right, GBP CAD. Oh, look at that. It's almost at the entry zone. This is telling me that GBP might run out of steam and start dropping. Looking like that. Okay, GBP CHF. Oh, this one is so beautiful. Look at this. 16.4 to 1, and it's at halfway. Oh, this was such a good draw. Man, I did even check the previous video to make sure I had that set up, and I did, and I'm extremely proud of myself for that one. I just didn't mark it. I don't understand why. But 30 pip stop loss, like I said, I made it super tight based on the order block. I think it was off the 1 hour. Right, if we take a look, I believe, yes, that's exactly where it was off of. Right, I said order block right at the top there. It was only 30 pips to go. Beautiful trade, guys. I gotta say, this is the winner for the week. I would say over the last few months even. Only because, what was it, September and October were kind of duds, right? So if we look from here all the way to where it's at, 280 pips. Now, 280 pips on a 30 pip stop loss, guys, that is approximately 9.3 to 1 so far. 9.3 to 1 in a week. That is fantastic. Off of one trade, right? Gotta love those market structure drops. So that's where it's sitting right now. I do believe it's going to go a bit higher, possibly to there. My target is no longer that high. Seeing as what I noticed in the other pairs, like for example, GBP CAD, right? It's almost at my target for reversal. GBP AUD, as we can see, target right there. Even better, order block on the 1 hour, like I was saying, in that 618 zone, right? So everything's kind of coming up in that area. Right now, even taking a 9 to 1, that is a massive victory. If you want to risk another another 2 to 1 up there to get it to 11 to 1 possibly, or even a 10.8 to 1, whatever the ratio is, by all means. But I think right now this is a fantastic trade to be in. And I mean, cash out whenever you start getting nervous, folks. There is no reason to sit in this and it dropping lower. I would say at this point in time, my stop loss is going to be right here, right below this little black line, which is sitting, 26 pips lower from where it closed off for the week. Right, so 26 pips stop loss from where it's at right now. If it drops lower than that, I'm out. Right, but what a trade. Love this one. GBP JPY, let's switch this back to the daily. Okay, so I drew this up a long time ago. It did not work out the way I thought. So now I think that this is going to go lower. Let's drop this to the 4 hour time frame. And yeah, it's doing its nice retracement legs. There's an order block there, but I believe this is a good chance for it to come to this zone before dropping. As we've seen on the previous GBP pairs, that would make total sense. All right, how much of a gap do we have from bottom to top? 40 pips. That's not too shabby, right? So entry in the, even at the beginning of that one, I would be comfortable with, because I could take the 60 pips to the top. And I do believe this is going to be dropping lower. We have been making lower lows, and nothing is telling me that this is going to keep going higher. Even a Fibonacci, right? Like we draw from here to the low. Look at that. In the golden zone, rejection and drop, right? From there to the new low. Look where it's at right now, 618, right? It's sitting right there in that golden zone. So possible drop incoming, whether it even gets to that point, I don't know if that's going to happen. This could reject much sooner than even at that order block. All right, let's see, NZD. No, just total consolidation, nothing of interest. Okay, back to the daily. GBP USD. Now, this one unfortunately didn't pan out as expected. It did come into the order block. This would have been the better decision to take, rather than off that historic support and resistance, right? But on the 4 hour, you don't really see much excitement happening. Even when I drop it to the 1 hour, there's really nothing it is coming into. Like, there's no real information here to take. All right, so I mean, excuse me. It was a bit of a dud of a trade, but it is what it is, right? Not all of them are going to be perfect. This was at 30 pips as well, so like I was saying, last week. 30 pips for tighter trades like this, you know, at half, what is it, a half a lot size, so the loss really wasn't as painful. If, you know, you decide to take all the trades, I think overall there were two losses, two losses, GBP USD and I think AUD USD, right? So those are the those are the losses if you took this at 30 pips instead of the 60 pip stop loss. Otherwise, currently Euro USD is in profit and GBP CHF is massively in profit. So, you know, what can I say? Lost two trades, but massively in profit on two other trades. So, you know what? It's still looking really good. NZD CAD, for whatever reason, I drew this up just because it's doing some funky stuff that I noticed. So let's drop it to the 4 hour to kind of get a better idea. Okay, and the reason is because I noticed a 618 retracement here, and then it created an order block. And now, when I did that Fibonacci trend-based extension, this guy right here, it kind of hit that red zone and starting to reject. So very likely it's going to drop to this area and go higher. But yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting development right now. It blasted through my potential entry right here. I was expecting something to happen within that, but that was on a daily. Like I said, dailies are kind of unreliable when it comes to trying to grab institutional plays. It's better off going on a lower time frame, right? So if we go on the 1 hour, you can see, better example, this might be the low point of retracement, but that's not a pattern I like. I like solid bars when it comes to these order blocks, right? Or, you know, quote unquote institutionals. They are much more likely to have their retracements and reject from those, okay? Anyway, going down to oil, well, I drew it up from here. It kind of zigzagged in and out, but damn, right? Look how low it went. This, if anybody was in this trade, I mean, almost a 15-to-1 at its peak, insanity, right? Currently, it's sitting at 12-to-1. Like, what a trade to stay in, right? And here's a great example, right? As it's going down, watch this. From the peak to the low, look how predictable oil is, right? 618 zone retracement, down it goes, pulls up a little bit deeper the second time around, right, to its low there. Look, it hits the 718, however, right at order block territory. And then it drops again. And now look at this, just within a trade within a trade, okay? So I'll get rid of those two. Now look at this. Right here on that peak, where it entered the order block, to the lowest point, 618 retracement, and lower it goes. See, many times do those fibs really pan out. If you want to be risky, you can take it at that 0.5 and have a very large stop loss set. But like I mentioned before, oil is, you know, a risk to reward ratio. I mean, $3 is large, but it's very safe. The 0.5 to 0.78 on this fib retracement within kind of the daily, it's not even $1. So, I mean, this would have been a fantastic trade to enter on. Even still entering off that 50%, look at this. That would have been a 10% drop. So almost like over, I mean, like I said, at max $10, right? But currently sitting at a $7 drop from that potential entry zone. So guys, what I'm saying is if you stay active and just check your charts for 30 minutes a day, I'm not saying jump in on every single entry that happens, but I mean, look how clearly this is going down. We saw a 618 and then a 786 while it came up to the order block, right? So if the fib itself doesn't pan out, but a move happens within the fib and another indicator is triggered, right? Like for me, the more indicators that stack up that show that a move is going to happen within that zone, I'm much more likely to take that trade. Like if I see the order block here, even though it's not the kind of pattern I like to see, but check it out. I drop it to the 30-minute, right? Look at this, order block within order block. Happened off the first one there, rejection off this guy in that wick. That's probably a 15-minute pattern right there. But this right here is an evening star pattern, right? And the EMAs didn't even shift, it dropped lower. So that's a very good entry right there. Dropping lower, and you see better indicators of those patterns happening, right? Anyway, USD CHF, quickly jumping in there, or sorry, USD CAD. It's been pretty junky over the last few days. Not really much interest for me to take there. I'll jump up to the 4-hour now. Okay, but as far as going up to that order block, I don't really agree with. I would say more of the middle of this candle. That would seem much more likely before we see another drop. So if USD ends up being bullish maybe for a day or two, we're going to see NASDAQ drop. If USD decides to drop right at the beginning of the week and doesn't pull back as high as I anticipate, then NASDAQ could potentially climb going back into that target zone. All I'm saying is I'm kind of overtaking stock trades right now, not the ideal time to enter. Like I said, it entered my zone, and that's it. Okay, USD CHF, nothing of interest for me there. USD JPY, kind of a bit of a consolidation. I do expect a run up before another move down. But as you can see, it just sharply moved down. Now it's consolidating. So it could do a little bit of a pullback. You know, I'd be looking at this supply zone right here. But more importantly, this imbalance. Okay, so if I draw up, again, my 50% box, I like going from wick to wick. Okay, look right on that blue line. I'll just leave this up. I think this is probably as high as it's going to go before it pulls down. But that's speculative right now. That's just based on one indicator, right? It's already going to be higher than the 618. As you can see, it's already rejected off of 618 and starting to go up. But as high up as it's going to go, it could potentially go even higher, right? I would, yeah, I'm kind of thinking maybe this will be a good time to take a buy. EMA already shifted on a 4-hour. Order block area was hit from the zone here. Yeah, this may not be a bad idea to jump in right at the open. How deep is 60 pips? Yeah, that's not bad. Right at the top of the order block, and it's already kind of closed off that area and an EMA shift. This may not be bad at all. First target would be around there. Well, no, technically, I guess right at the peak of the supply zone, right? But 3-to-1, pretty decent trade. Second target would be here. Third target would be way up here. So, I mean, very good potential, not very good, I would say a good potential of 18-to-1 trade on this guy. And I'm not really feeling up for diving into silver and gold, guys, so I apologize for that. But I hope this has been useful. Remember, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not giving you, I don't want to say, yeah, I'm not giving advice as to what to jump in and out of. This is what I personally take. If you decide to take those same trades, by all means, it's at your own risk. However, you know, I would say that even at your own risk, there are other things to consider, mainly I'm just going to start rambling at this point. It's already late into the night. Whatever, guys. It's at your own risk. I'm not your advisor. I just give out trade ideas that I take myself. So if you end up making a profit off that, congratulations. If you're here to watch, you know, fantastic. I still encourage you to make your own charts and draw them up. I have an entire lesson plan in the Trading Masterclass playlist that I set up to give you kind of a rundown as to how to do all of this. And yeah, hopefully I am able to train a lot of pro traders in the future. All right, bring your friends, get them to subscribe, get these likes up so this channel can get out there and we can help many more people. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next week.